Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Week 10 of the North American LCS. Right now, we're joined by a special from Team Solo Mid, picking up a 3-0 on Super Week with that last win over Complexity. Yeah, exactly. Were you guys kind of sweating this one coming into the match?
Not really. I mean, Complexity, they're the 8th place team, but they're doing really, really well. They took out top teams, and we were a bit scared, but we figured, hey, probably Zgragas, big problem, ban that out, and we were good.
All right.
Talk me through this game a little bit, because there was that moment where at the start of the game, Wild Turtle looked like he was just lost his mind, and you guys ended up getting a double kill for it. Talk me through that play.
Honestly, I was so confused. He ran up when there was a minion wave, and he just got stunned, and I was like, dude, you can't do that. And I was surprised that we actually came out ahead in the lane by getting that double kill. It was a really, really close fight, and Turtles played it really well. He had a 4-pot advantage over him because due to the previous mess-up, he baited the 4-pot out. So I guess you can say it was all planned.
Was it a situation where Reginald was like, my ult's up, so you guys knew it was coming, or would it just end up working out?
Usually I would be the one that calls for cart assault, but this time Turtle just took the initiative and he just was like, Reggie ult, and then came through and it just worked out perfectly.
You get that aggression. That's so good in the bottom lane. So coming into picks and bans, and this question is, how did it kind of relieve your guys' pressure on the map? They focused Dyrus a lot, even after giving him bans. Wild Turtles 4-1 and 3. What were you guys able to do with all the focus they were putting on Dyrus?
It was surprising. Usually, Complexity is a team that they kind of focus on bottom a lot in terms of like they have 4-pots often, and sometimes they even bring in jungle ganks. And with Jarvan, there's so many paths you can gank through. So we had to play pretty passive, and because we're purple side, we have that initial disadvantage where we push up towards our tower. But luckily, we got that double kill, and that pushed us ahead, and we were able to zone them out. But then eventually, Diana came down, and we kind of died there, so that was kind of unfortunate.
Right on.
Yeah, and in the last moments of the game where you're about 8,000 gold ahead and just kind of pushing down middle, what made you guys go so aggressive and just like end the game right there?
Well, I think Elise was chunked down really, really low, like literally cart this all range, but then obviously you can't cart this all because of the repel. And then Reggie was like, engage, go. And I was like, okay, I'm going. And then we got 5-0 and we just ended the game. It was pretty much that. We had enough time and we knew that we could finish the game, and we just finished the game.
So with Dyrus playing an assassin, usually not the role of the champions he has under his belt, what was top lane like in the talk for the rest of the team? Was it, Dyrus is going to do his own thing and we'll see him later, or was there just you guys knew where you're going to be helping? So
in an interview I did last week, I kind of talked about how we've been practicing a lot of different comps, and this is one of them. We actually have a lot more that sometimes have been actually banned out, but at times we just don't always run it. And as this Super Week progresses and as you get towards playoffs, you're going to see a lot more stuff that you haven't really seen from TSM, and I think that's something to look forward to, and it's a testament to how well we've been working together as a team, even with that roster change.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, since that roster change, you guys are 12-2. You're really just tearing up the top of the LCS standings. You actually have a legitimate shot now to be the #1 seed. Do you want to talk about like how you guys have improved so much in the latter half of the season?
It's kind of surprising, You typically think of a roster change as like a negative thing. Teams often just aren't synergizing as well. But with Turtle, we kind of just it was the Season 3 push that we wanted at the beginning of the season, but we didn't get. Everyone wanted to take Season 3 seriously, but it wasn't until Turtle joined the team and everyone just decided, okay, new player, we have so much riding against us. So many people who are like, you lost chaos, you can't function as a team, etc. And we just took that as motivation instead of a demotivator. And we took that, and we've been coming out strong. We've been practicing a lot more, and we've been doing really, really well. And that's kind of the reason why.
That's awesome. Talk about you as your play style, your support play style a bit. Not one to usually build the ability power items, kind of like MI or Daydreaming would. Is it the role the team knows for you to kind of sit back and not have those and build the aura items? How do you choose to do it?
I kind of just look at items and I kind of do the math. Typically for support, CDR is the best, but it really depends on champion I play. Since I've been playing so much Sona this week, I max at CDR because we're often either playing poke or playing against poke, and having lower cooldown heals is more effective than AP. I just look at the math and this is the clear winner. And sometimes if I do play like Janna, for example, you would probably build more AP and CDR with the Morello Nomicon or something like that. But it depends on the champion I play, and just for the champions I've been playing, it's just CDR looks like the best option.
And I have to ask you a question about the All-Star game. Congratulations being the All-Star support, by the way, but how do you think North America is going to fare on the international scene in the All-Star game?
That's a very tough question. I mean, everyone is pretty much counting NA out. You look at any predictions, like NA loses first round and loses in the losers bracket, and they're out. Like, that's pretty much what people are saying. So anything we do above that, it's kind of sort of a surprise. And we have a very low bar set for us. So it should be relatively easy to surpass that bar, but it's going to be really tough. Playing against the best teams, the best players from around the globe, and that's never it's never easy.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on the win. 3-0 on the week, and best of luck in continuing that, especially from Team Solomid, picking up their win most recently over Complexity. Now it's time for our third match of the day, MRN versus Curse. Cop and the crew need a win if they want to stay in first, while a loss by Mega Zero and MRN would drop them into a tie for last place and put their playoff chances in serious jeopardy. Unfortunately for MRN, Curse has worked them in all 3 games so far this season, and St. Vicious isn't too shy to say it.
For some reason, we just always play like on point against MRN. Like nothing against MRN, but like that's just the one team that like it seems like all our strategy just smashes them. I don't know, but we feel really comfortable. Like we feel like we can just do anything versus them.
And St. Vicious has reason to be confident coming into this match. Curse has been nearly flawless against MRN this year, Jat.
Yeah, Curse's numbers against MRN are absolutely ridiculous. 50 kills, 10 deaths, and 134 assists in 3 games for MRN. And also, Jackie hasn't died in the 3 games. He's 9 kills, 0 deaths, and 30 assists. On top of that, Curse has done a great job of banning out as well, because Mega Zero hasn't gotten Renekton in a single game against Curse. First 2 games, it was banned. Third game, Voyboy picked it away.
And now it's time for today's lineups. We don't want to. On the blue side, it's going to be MRN. Mega Zero in the top lane, Claky D in the jungle, Echo in mid, Nian Tanso on AD, and Heartbeat at support.
And in the red corner, it's Curse with Voyboy in top lane, St. Vicious in the jungle, Jackie in mid, Cop on AD, and Elements on support.
Now these guys coming in, obviously we have that another fight lane in the top, just like last time. We get Voyboy versus Mega Zero. If they decide to match up, we were lucky enough to see the kind of regular standard meta last time in that matchup go pretty well head-to-head, but we'll see what these teams bring out this time because they are fighters.
I really want to see that matchup happen. I don't want these guys to lane swap because Mega Zero just reminds me so much of the way Voyboy was back when I was actually on Dignitas with Voyboy, because Mega Zero will always push up and fight, and when he actually gets to fight someone, he pretty much always wins because you can tell there's just so much potential there. But there are other parts of his game that aren't necessarily fully developed, like sometimes he gets ganked a little too hard, sometimes he can't pull off the 1v2s, but his talent and his potential is just through the roof. So if they could fight each other, I would be so excited.
Last time these guys faced off, St. Vicious brought out the Volibear. He was also bringing out the Volibear against KT Rollster, so it's a comfortable champion for him. Maybe they'll kind of bring out the stops again there, but we've seen Curse kind of playing wheelhouse champions here. There was the Malphite Renekton matchup between those two last time. I think they did swap the lanes, but if it goes in, those are 2 favorites for both of those guys, Voyboy and Mega.
And we have to keep in mind this is the 3.5 balance patch, so it's actually the same patch that we have on live right now. So Volley's early game speed is slower than it used to be. It used to be 45% of all ranks. Now it's 30% at rank 1, scaling up to 50% at rank 5. So his early game presence isn't as high, and that was actually one of the things that teams would pick him for that early game presence. So we may or may not see that. I know that Curse was actually picking Nautilus last week before the Nautilus buffs actually happened. So we could maybe see something like that coming out of St. Vicious if he decides to default. And this is going to be a very interesting matchup as they go against each other, because St. Vicious, I feel like he is searching a little bit for his jungler, because if he can't play Volibear, he doesn't really like playing Nasus, even though he understands the way the champion works. He loves Udyr. He likes stuff like Nautilus, right? We'll see if he pulls out something interesting like that.
And it really, if you watch Team Solo Mid, when they forced him onto Nautilus, he looked uncomfortable. It looked like that was kind of just taking out the Jenga peg that would make it Jenga. And maybe they'll try to do it again. If they focus out the jungler, it may really hurt Curse. And
that last team comp when Curse lost to the last time they lost to TSM, it was very much like a super assassin-based composition where they wanted to pop one guy up with an auto assault and then have Voyboy's Akali fly in and just try to kill that first target, then get resets and just cascade it down. But it didn't work out for them. And MRN, just earlier today, was all about the one target, right? Like, Nian Tansa was the only one to get farmed, so if Curse actually played a strategy like that against MRN this time, it would have a higher chance of working. And we know how well Curse has destroyed MRN so far this season, so they should have a huge amount of confidence going in, and MRN really has to bounce back here.
They absolutely have to bounce back here. Many of the final matchups between teams is they all have a chance to play each other 4 times throughout the season split. And this is going to be one of those, obviously, those times, but one of that final. So we'll see what they do. I'm expecting a Twisted Fate ban here for both Echo and Nijaki. Last time Martin played against these guys, they went safe. They had that Lux pick for Echo, so they're trying to stay away from what we've always said, Voidboy and Saint jumping on your face.
And before yesterday, Curse had never lost to a team in the bottom 4. GG was the first team to crack that perfect record for Curse, so they want to keep this one going for Marn. And the last few bans are taking a bit of time because Renekton's obviously been banned out again, but that was a Mega Zero. Vayne was banned out, as you were saying. And what is this last ban going to be for Marn? Because they're kind of taking their time and they haven't fully targeted someone yet, but there it's clear they're going kind of at Nijaki.
I'd be really interested if they don't do the TF ban. They do get Nijaki on a few of them there to throw his comfort out, and yes, they do. Twisted Fate will not be on this for Echo or Jackie. Mega Zero has a choice at his top lane. Malphite is still out, and that Rumble is still out there as well. We haven't seen too much play from him this week.
First picking Malphite would be a little bold, even though it's been getting banned out a lot. Except that's more like a Dyrus ban that he did get at last game for Marn. Maybe a Jarvan or something. Maybe even Sona, because Niantanso really likes that, and Elements does like playing that a lot. Along with Lulu. Lulu hasn't been a super contested pick lately either. Marn taking their time with this one. I mean, there's actually a lot of options available because aside from what other teams are doing where they kind of ban 3 for one person, Curse has really just banned out like 1 from Niantanso and Vayne. 1 from Mega Zero and Renekton, and then 1 from Echo and Twisted Fate.
Kind of dipping their hand into each bowl.
Yeah. Multiple cookie jars.
So this really now becomes a ban you have to consider that they're trying to super counter with. Maybe not super counter, but they are trying to pull a little bit of everything with 1 pick. They have a few seconds, and they do. They kind of throw it around. It could be the jungle. We've seen Claky on that, and it could be Mega Zeros.
And Mega Zero played Shannon the last game earlier today against Vulcan. It didn't work out the best. He got a little bit farmed. He was trying to be that one tank. They ran it with the jungle even stuff, and he didn't really get to bully lane. So like Shen is not the most exciting champion to have Mega Zero on. It's not something where he can show off his ridiculous Shen mechanics and kind of beast up on Voidboy. But look at what they left. Okay, now I'm excited again.
Yeah, this is good. That was awesome. I was talking about counter picks from Marn, Riven choosing and taken away. Or chose and taken away from Mega Zero here.
I think it's really funny because Mega Zero's been the guy who's been playing Riven, and he's been getting a lot of love for it. And then it's Voidboy, and because we were talking about Mega Zero being like a younger version almost, and then Void was like, anything you can do, I can do better, right? I'm going to play Riven as well and see if I can beat you with it. But that could have actually been a bit of a bait because with that Malphite pick, they might just swap up and be like, oh yeah, now I'm going to play Malphite against your Riven. Have fun with that armor, but we'll see how that works.
So they do decide to lock in the Malphite pick. Obviously, that can go anywhere as well. We have not seen Claky D on that in the jungle, though, so we'll have to see what that happens in the top lane. Cop is going to be hovering around here. His Misfortune is still up and running, so he may go with that pick.
I feel like it would be smart for Curse to kind of get back to their roots on Misfortune. It had been getting banned a lot for them. He's been playing some pretty successful Twitch. He had that 9-kill game with him yesterday, but he lost impact in the late game. Right? He didn't have that just bullet time that he could sit back and safely throw, and he wasn't able to execute it all that well. They're cycling through junglers. I don't think they've necessarily decided on that Volibear pick. I think the Orianna is something that makes a bit more sense for Nijaki, though. Nothing's final.
I really like the Jarvan pick. It locks in everything for Command Shockwave for the Wind Slash, but it looks like they do stick with the Volibear, and as we said, they brought it out last time they played one. Absolutely,
and this is, as we say, the 3.5 balance patch. So Volibear's level 1 Q has 30% movement speed compared to 45% that it used to have when moving towards targets, and it scales up to be a little bit faster. That's definitely something that Curse is going to have to keep in mind. Niantanso locked in that Draven. They got Echo on Ahri. Echo is a great Ahri. It's what he played essentially when they qualified for the LCS almost every game, and he was very potent on it. And I don't know what Curse... Yeah, and I don't know what Curse is going to be thrown in at the end here. Because we've seen, I think, 1 game with Cop's Ashe, and it's definitely not the super spray damage everywhere. It's like the spray kite utility everywhere. And he's been hovering over that for a while. It makes me think he's considering it, but the Misfortune would be the pick that they're used to.
And Marn is completely switching up how they play this, not play this composition, but what composition they're coming in with. Like I said, they had Lux, they had safety last time. Every one of their champions says face dive.
And this is very different for at least Curse, because Marn is the dive-in, right? They got Mega Zero on Malphite again. He's really good at diving in on Malphite. They essentially, I think, baited that pick in from Void. Been like, yeah, let me get Riven against Shen. I'm going to crush him. and it turns out ClayKD's going to be in the jungle instead. So Marn is the dive team. Curse actually has a bit of split focus here because it's St. Vicious who wants to run in. He doesn't necessarily have anything to haste him aside from Orianna, so it's going to be like the St. Vicious Orianna combo. But normally, they actually want Cop to start that fight and get everyone low. Volley doesn't get people nearly as low as Bullet Time, so they have to be a little bit kitey, despite St. Vicious's only way of getting into a fight and Riven's only way into a fight being all in. So maybe if Curse wants this to execute, they have to start with arrows and then go all in and have faith in the rest of their team to do damage.
Faith is actually one of the biggest things that we see these teams, and that actually could be just called as communication, because if you're not communicating, if you're not relying on that to happen, your jungler takes that extra initial step, you have to be right on the backside. And now, like we see, the professionals kind of getting, that weight on their shoulders. The pressure now is causing mistakes in these plays. We've seen a lot of the teams as they whoop in the background getting ready for the game. I don't know if you can hear it. Super pumped for this one. Probably Echo. He's bringing out a lot of the Zuna. But a lot of the younger teams stopping their mistakes, as we said before. So it's going to be a battle between these two.
And Marn really needs to stop their mistakes because their games against Curse this season have not been pretty. As we talked about earlier, maybe they'll get their first kill ever on Nijaki. Their first kill of the LCS 10 weeks into the season on Nijaki. But their team comp is definitely fit to do so because that looks like something where they can single out someone and just go. If Ari dives in with Malphite, pretty much the target they hit is gone. And with copying on Ashe like that, that pristine kill-death-assist ratio might be taking a few hits if Marn can get going in this game.
All right, we'll have to see the good luck. Have funds have come out from both teams. We are on to the Rift. Marn versus Curse for your third matchup here in day 2 of Super Week. Rivington the third and Jap bringing you the lowdown on the game all game long for these past 3. We'll have Freak and Kobe for the next 3 games. Well, right now, we're going to see if Marn can stop first place Curse with a win.
And Marn has to make sure they don't lose this one because, I mean,
Need that too.
it's every single game today, and I feel like for the rest of this week has so much playoff jostling significance. It's crazy how kind of many packs of standings we have where 5, 6, 7, 8 is so close to themselves, and now 1, 2 are getting close to themselves because TSM looks like they're pulling ahead of Dignitas a little bit. Level 1-wise, though, Curse is grouped up, and they might be looking to make something happen, but there's not really a Marn target in range.
Really interesting bit. The first time Nijaki really doesn't go flash. Not the first time, one of maybe less than the number of fingers on my hand, which is 5, a normal hand. And it's going to be an Echo this time, so we'll see him trying to use that flask, and we'll see how he works towards his next item with that.
Also, there's only the 2 red elixirs on the map, so a couple Threshes have been starting red elixir in the past. That is not what Elements decides to do in this one. Instead, Voyboy goes red elixir, and MegaZero went red elixir Malphite because he wants the power as well. It's unfortunate, though, that with the 2v1 running top for Curse, I feel like MegaZero is going to be trapped in that for a while.
It's either going to take Golem's top, Golem's bottom as well, so there may not be so much of an all-in, but a little advantage trying to be taken at that level 2 for both the top and the bottom lane, 80 carries and supports. Echo is actually going to throw out quite a bit of mana towards that blue buff, so he starts the lane with half, and it's probably going to be a safe lane for him due to that.
Yeah, the Orianna versus Ari matchup early is pretty shovey. They just kind of try to farm against each other. If anything, Nijaki would have the potential to walk in with the ball on his head and auto-attack trade a little bit better on Echo, but I don't know if that's necessarily what he's going to be going for. They really need some early ganks to come out, but like ClayKD on Jungle Shen can gank early, but it's a huge sacrifice to his farming thing. Usually Jungle Shens just want to sit in the jungle until level 6 and then provide presence that way. So it's actually an advantage St. Vicious if he wants to try to make any early jungling ganks happen.
Really nice early ward by MegaZero or, MegaZero and crew, whoever put that down up top to keep him safe. He saw the ward that Elements just placed, so they have word on that. We're not going to see 4-minute 4v4 over by blue buff this time. It's not going to occur here. And we're going to see Heartbeat kind of pushing up, waiting to get to Voyboy in that bottom lane. St. Vicious is already making moves for the top.
Yeah, and we'll see if St. Vicious tries to brute force through the middle of the lane or come around the back for a gank. And he's actually just going straight through, so that ward against 3-man tower dive doesn't really help MegaZero for anything. They're shoving up this lane, they're getting into the turret, and immediately ClayKD comes over for moral support in this turret.
Yeah, they may not be able to do much on this one. Will they try to take the fast turret? ClayKD's in the top, so they can't push the same thing in the bottom lane. MegaZero gets a bit aggressive there, and it looks like he is able to force off some damage.
And it's really strange that Curse... Oh my god, they land the hook!
There's the flip back. ClayKD puts himself as well. They both get flayed, which locks them up. The first blood could come down. Mega just gets out with the exhaust on him. They've wasted quite a bit. The volley passive, believe, coming in on that.
Ooh, so I was going to say it's really hard for them to get turret damage since they have 2 melees in that lane, essentially, if you count Thresh as a melee, even though he's got pretty good range. But as soon as they landed the hook, they just decided to go all in. Even with that, though, it was a little bit unsuccessful. Saintfish just nearly gave up double buffs, and that's actually not a win for Curse. They gave up a bunch.
They teleport back into the top lane. MegaZero gets himself quickly back into the fight. Comp's going to be forced out as well as Voidboy. So this could be a big lane advantage here for Marn if they can push down and just shove these waves into the turret.
And Voidboy got pushed back without any jungle intervention, so this was a 2v1 instead of a 3v2. We'll see how much damage Marn can additionally get down onto this turret because Curse wasn't able to get much in the top lane. And, of course, Voidboy teleporting in just like MegaZero to hold this one off.
Very easy for them. Like clockwork, both lanes are going to be safe on those turrets. Still, good damage taken on both sides, getting those prepped for a very early takedown.
And look at how much damage Voidboy took as soon as he ran back into that lane. The punishment from Nian Tanso's Draven is just raining down on Voidboy.
Catching those axes perfectly. Hasn't caused Voidboy to waste his red pot yet, but like we said, he just used the teleport, so he's going to want to stay in lane for quite some time. 6 potions he will be able to chug down as we see Saint again putting focus on top. He is not going to find a MegaZero, though.
Yeah, I mean, Saintfish is trying to make a lot of early game plays happen on Volibear and hasn't really as of yet. It's really just a matter of trying to keep these turret pressure things going. It's the return of the 1v2. I mean, Curse did so many 1v2s early in the season when they started the season undefeated and were so good at it. They tried a few 2v2s lately and they've actually been struggling a bit with it, so they're back to that 1v2 motto, and we'll see if they can execute as well with the turret push up top.
It looks like they may be able to take this down with the next wave after this. Good clear from Voidboy, his abilities, and then Broken Wings to continuously clear Curse. Saintfish is spending a lot of time in this top lane, is going to grab all the minion experience and that turret for his team.
Yeah, this is the comfortable setup that Curse is opting into because Marn has the 3 people bottom, and there were no moves happening to try to stop this from happening one way or the other. Curse wanted to trade the turret and accelerate the game.
The teleports are down. None of that global stand united garbage just yet for Claky D. He's waiting one more level. Once they get in, that's when Curse has to be a little bit more aware of being this aggressive in their pushes, right?
I actually think the lack of jungle ganks, but instead just jungle showing up and pressuring something, does give Marn a bit of an edge in this situation because Claky D, all he wants is level 6 to have an impact. And also because Marn had the blue side 2v1, that gives them the option of Dragon immediately after that happens, and they're killing this slowly, but since they have the pink ward, Curse doesn't know where it is, and they're not even going to be able to stop him on this one.
And the Claky D getting quite low here. They may want to trade each other out, but it's just within smite range. They take that down. Good gold lead coming in here, about 1,200 gold in favor of Marn. 1-to-1 in turret, so the map pressure is kind of evening out. We'll see once Echo gets back into mid lane here. He went straight for Sork Boots to the Chalice of Nijaki.
Looks like Echo is going for the aggression, whereas Nijaki is going for a bit of the defense. Also, Orianna needs the mana items, whereas Ahri can survive a little bit more without them, and it's just the choice. But Nijaki going for Claky D.
Oh, he gets the ignite down. Claky will not make it out of this one alive, and Nijaki knows that, turns around, and the explosion behind him.
So screw caring about the defensive items. Claky D was so low, he didn't go back to shop after that dragon because he wanted to hit level 6 before he shopped so they could potentially pull off a gank early, but he got a little greedy. Nijaki placed that ward far enough in that he saw Claky D was doing the race, decided to poke his head in, recognized how low he was, and just went for the easy kill.
Claky D's first item, Giant's Belt, out the gate, as well as some wards. As he gets back into the jungle, we can see finally Curse back to lane is starting to push back Nian Tanso after their first buy, so they're getting a little bit of aggression on the lane for themselves and possibly some damage on this turret. They have to be careful, though, because they are open on the backside here.
Especially having no turret back there, but because Nijaki had so much control over that mid lane, I think they're safe for now. And the backside gank is more of a just gank that's going to hit him in the face because the only ganks Claky D is going to be doing usually are just teleporting in with Stand United.
That's true. He will have that in just a little bit. His experience quite close on that. The next few minions, the next camp, rather, is going to be able to pick up that 6. We'll have to see where MegaZero is at as we move into the top lane. Looking at his XP bar, he is also at the same spot for that Stand United to come in on his Unstoppable Force. So at 8 minutes here, we could see activation onto Voidboy. Heartbeat and Nian Tanso trying to get some aggression down in the bottom as they try to pull aggression or jungler.
And they're hoping that Cop lands an arrow here, but they're mainly hoping that Marn gets aggressive so that Saintfish's counter gank works a bit better. They hawk shot off like they're being a little bit cautious, and actually Marn pings where they hawk-shotted, so they're saying they don't have a ward here, they don't have a ward here, otherwise he wouldn't have hawk-shotted that area. If they land a hook, they're going.
There's the arrow coming in. They try to get the lantern toss. St. Vicious gets stopped back by the stand aside, I should say. Stand United coming in from Clicky D. Can they finalize the kill? Cop cleanses that one off, waiting very patiently. He flashes into the end of the ultimate of Draven. How unfortunate.
And this is just going from bad to worse. Elements has no way out.
Tries to toss himself out like a Nautilus to the terrain. Not going to happen. He goes down, and 2 kills coming up. That goes to Niantanso.
And that's just the presence of Jungle Shen, right? He hit level 6 and he was able to counter gank perfectly. At that point, it was Draven versus Ashe because they'd actually engaged in the brawl. So the initiation potential of the Ashe arrow was negated, and Draven just brawls better than Ashe. Niantanso coming out with a double kill.
Nightjackie throwing down command Shockwave. That blue buff's going to help him just pretty much get those abilities back. It's still a good cooldown, but him and Echo really going back and forth. It looks like Echo also just used his ultimate just a bit ago. So Nightjackie, give him some medicine back.
Yeah, just trying to trade and keep even in that lane so neither one of them get pressed out. That is a completely even lane aside from the kill that Nightjackie was able to pick up in the jungle on Claky D. But I really love the way Marnus came out in this game, trading the turrets just like Curse wanted, but then once the 2v2 happened, took advantage.
The Bloodthirster now coming out for Niantanso. Looking over at Cop's side, some of that gold. He only has 900 gold there. Not really going to be finishing any items anytime soon, so we'll see how much pressure they can put on the lanes where he is, or if he's not going to be in these fights.
At least for Curse, Nightjackie picked up a 9-minute, 50-second Athene's Unholy Grail, so he's at least hit his Orianna item pretty quick. Cop is a good 1,000 gold behind Niantanso, and it really shows in the items, but if Nightjackie can make something happen in the mid lane with that item, it'll make up for it.
So this is where Marn needs to keep the pressure on. They have started the roam. They're dictating where the AD carry support go first. As we see Cop and Element still farming in the bottom lane, this is where they need to make the moves. This is where they can most likely falter.
And it's just going to be a matter of Marn trying to stick together, right? Like, have the teams picked up enough mid-game strategies. Curse has been the ones who have been able to stall out the game and just beat all the lower-tier teams. They faltered yesterday against Good Game University, even when they had lead. There's an Ashe arrow. They're trying for an Echo pick. Is it going to land?
Oh, it hits him just on the backside. Voidboy tries to get into range. That Broken Wing does hit. He flashes. The Shockwave Wind Slash will not finalize. Everything just happening on the edge of death there.
Cop pulling off the amazing arrow in the mid lane, but they just weren't in range. Echo ulted, flashed away, used his Quadra Blink essentially on Ahri, and escaped. Will Curse be able to make anything off of that, though, because they burned a lot for no kill?
That's that faith. It's kind of like Voidboy was doubting the arrow, and it hit her right in the backside, and they couldn't finish it. Maybe next time. That's a very low cooldown, one of the best initiations from an AD carry in the game, and Cop already making an impact with it from across the map.
He needs to do more of that, and they need to actually be able to capitalize on it, because if those things aren't killing, then the team fights aren't going to be won for Marn.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
It's a good shot, and they need to do more of it, but the fact that that didn't work is a little worrying.
Absolutely. 12 minutes in here. They're kind of in and out of the laning phase. We see fights happening, and then they return back when it's obviously pushed. They want to stop the turret, but they're sending, you know, the lanes that were respectively there. AD support back to the bottom. They freeze this up. Mega Zero still stopping Voidboy in the top lane, and the mids are still farming that mid lane.
Yeah, Voidboy definitely hasn't gotten going on Riven yet.
Yeah.
He was stuck in a 1v2 for a little while, but that is normal for Voidboy. Most people refuse to 1v1 him, just like people usually refuse to 1v1 Mega Zero. But the Malphite is somewhat immune to the harass of Voidboy. As you can see, Voidboy's just kind of got to run away. He doesn't want to cut through all the armor that Mega Zero has on that solid rock down there. And now, again, we're going to see, with Claky D's Shen ultimate up, will the gank from Curse work if they decide to go for it?
Look at the mids mirroring each other on that entrance down into the river here. They could catch Claky. They go for the arrow. The dissonance misses. So that's going to be, like I said, a very low cooldown for Cop, and they are going to start taking all those shots on net. Some are going to count soon. Marn sets up for Dragon.
And Dragon up, ultimates up. Both Voidboy and Mega Zero have the teleports, but the Ashe arrow is down for Curse, and that Dragon's going down so fast, I feel like Curse just gave it up.
They have to give this one up. It's going to be a 2,400 gold lead right now as Voidboy returns to the top lane. Now he finds Mega Zero at his turret. Now the other way around.
So, all the teleports just didn't matter. They decided not to fight on that one, and I think it was because the Ashe arrow was down for Curse and they realized they didn't have the in-fight power, but they're going to have to find their pick somewhere, whether Elements lands a death sentence that one just missed, or whether Cop lands an arrow. That does seem like the only way Curse can win these fights, because they have a bunch of all-in with a bunch of kind of previous poke, and they have to make it all work together. Otherwise, the straight-up power of MRN is going to overtake them.
So having Niantanso kind of go for the Bloodthirster in the beginning while doing better, it's obviously not going to make it easier for Cop. Does that not force Cop to build an Infinity Edge? Because usually you want to be able to follow the AD carry, be able to do the same amount of damage. Does that kind of hurt him? I
feel like they're just completely different champions. Like, normally it would be a matter of having to match a Bloodthirster, but Ash is a poke champion instead of a brawl champion anyway.
Okay.
So that just makes it even more one-sided for Niantanso in the engage. Cop will most likely go for an Infinity Edge. You don't see many Bloodthirster Ashes. She gets the crit passive on Infinity Edge on her first hit, which actually helps a fair bit. And then Ash is all about the late game anyway, and if you want to get a late game AD carry, you do go Infinity Edge.
Right.
It's just a matter of time for Cop, because he is falling a bit behind.
Well, let's see, 118 to 97 in that CS as we see Niantanso once again into that bottom lane. We did just see a bit of Volibear and everybody gathering down there for Dragon, but it was all in favor of Marn as we said that gold lead 2,000 cleanly in their favor. Voidboy and Mega Zero still just kind of battled out in the top lane, but neither have really killed each other yet. 0-0 across the board between those two.
And sometimes in these games, we saw a lot of them near the start of the year when the turrets were swapped right at the start. The game does calm down for a little bit because they've already gotten their objectives. Teams are a little bit, you know, safe. There's just the two turrets that have been cleared. They end up covering a lot of wards, sometimes because they had the extra global go from the turrets, and also just because they're not wanting to lose anything extra, right? The AD carries are farmed. Also, the top laners that were in the 1v2s want to make sure they catch up and farm. So they just kind of wait. Everyone agrees that they're going to farm up again, then they go fight.
Let's see what they do. It looks like, yes, that blue buff was on to Nijaki in mid, as well as Echo as they trade back and forth. Claky giving a little bit of presence there. Kind of in and out of the laning phase once again. Back down to support an AD carry for Marn will be farming. We see Saint picking up his red buff to look to make some lane presence here in a bit. And Cop may go bottom, but we have Elements now tending to mid.
And Cop is going to be going bottom for a while. He's going to wait until he's farmed his items, and he's going to keep firing off periodic arrows, trying to catch people, and then just keep farming. I think that's going to be his play because there's no way he can fight Draven. So he pretty much just has to sit back here and pick up the farm when it comes to him. And now it's on Marn to not let Cop get farmed up. It's almost a race against Ash's time, and they're trying to poke down more of this turrets. There's a teleport, 5 people mid.
Mega Zero coming in strong on this one. That is going to be their turret. The Ash arrow is up. We'll have to see if it goes across the minimap. It doesn't look like they want to engage here. Not the minion wave they want or the fight they want. Backing off. They do have Voidboy in the top lane, so if they can stop them from backing and keep eyes, that helps out Voidboy here.
The thing about Voidboy being in this lane, though, is the only turret that he could kill in that one is a secondary turret, which means he has to completely overextend himself, and he doesn't have any wards in the blue side jungle of Marn, so he could pretty much only just shove that up and go back, and they've still lost the turret.
So this is kind of, we see Marn does and still holds that early control of the game, but Curse is finding a way to stop them. They're not allowing them to take any more turrets. It's 2-1 as they got those first ones quick. They're putting a lot of focus on mid, not losing that second one, and they're really not even getting past the first crumbled mid turret.
They haven't been able to put much map presence elsewhere, but this could be the opportunity. Cop does have his ultimate up, and they're not expecting Marn to hold, but they're one step ahead, right? Claky D is sitting there right at the turret. There's an arrow. They're going for it anyway.
They know exactly where to put everybody because they go in for this fight. Cleansed off by Niantanso. The teleport comes in from Voidboy. A good quick burst, but Voidboy taking so much that Dravenall just cleanly rides through and back through the team. Voidboy has wasted everything on that fight, and he goes down.
Walked right into that crescendo, and Mega Zero does not want them to get away. They're going to continue this chase, I think.
Oh, it's going to be a great ultimate. Looking for Saint. Oh, he flashed by Cop from the outside. Exit stage left as he entered stage left. Mega Zero just missing the unstoppable force.
Even with all of that collapsing, that was still a miraculous play by Marn. I mean, it did look like Niantanso was going to go down. St. Vicious actually, I think he flung the Shen as he was taunting back, even though he wanted to fling Niantanso, so that stopped them from being able to get the kill on him. Niantanso then crushed through with that Bloodthirster. He didn't even have to pop his Elixir of Fortitude, and they're going to try to keep the pressure up on this turret.
Good tack on Elements. He gets a little too greedy on the front side of the turret. The shield keeps him alive just. That was ridiculous.
I thought the Draven Bleed was going to get him, but he gets away with about 30 health in that one, and the pressure continues. Elements wanted to kind of like walk in and get a box off and then hope the team calm it up, but as he was moving in, he was like, holy crap, Draven's hitting me, and he had to flash away.
Niantanso very fed right now. Oh, full team Shockwave, and that is going to be some damage onto Marn. Can they follow it up, though? It's Curse still on the backside. They don't realize what they pulled into the circle there.
I think this is going to be the question for the rest of the game is can Curse follow that up? Because that was a ridiculously good Shockwave. If this was a cop on Misfortune, 3 people would have died. But if it was Ash, they couldn't follow it up as Voyboy tries to go.
Whoa, Voyboy just gets completely taken out of the map, and it's going to be Curse still holding this one off. He saw low health bars, and you can even see he is not happy with himself there.
The wards are still coming in. Marn wants to steal this one, and Curse is just filtering in one at a time. Marn has 5 people low health. There's an arrow.
There's a great Ash arrow, stopping up 1, slowing down 4. Elements puts himself in after just going very low in the fight before. He held the box. It's going to be the focus. Cop on the outside. No mana there, though. Nijackie, no mana. They do take down 1. Clinky D is just on the back line, but he's very tanky. Do they have enough damage to take him down? It looks like he will fall. Saint follows Heartbeat here. Can he get the last attacks on the dissonance? And the bite from Saint Vicious is able to finalize it for the bear. A good fight for Saint and Curse there, but that was scary for both teams.
Curse did follow up that Ash arrow, but it was just barely. Marn got a little greedy, sticking around with 5 people. They were hoping they could win that fight because the victor of that fight not only got all the kills, they got the dragon because they both knew what that timer was. I gotta say, that was just Saint Vicious kind of mad-moaning up and running through the team as Cop decided to stick in there. Getting Niantanso down first was super important because he's been the one who's been shredding down most of their health, and that is one of those things that Curse is able to do. They stick around at just the right times. How did he know Saint was there as he went for the home run?
All the way back at bases when he threw that. Absolutely incredible. Just looking to see, maybe he's doing those. So they do hear the damage on that so they can know the Saint's going back. It's not like it's going to help him too much, but Nijackie hasn't died yet. They still can't get to him. He's 2-0-2 on the game. You got a 0-1-2, but Cop has finished the Infinity Edge. He didn't have mana after that arrow in the last fight, and I'm sure it cost them a lot of damage and catch because, like you said, that's what Ash provides for her team in that late game.
And Cop, of course, is just running back to that bottom lane again. He just wants more items, and then he's going to sit back and shoot those arrows.
Or farm.
If he's there for too long, Marn's going to start using that time to go to Baron, and his time is going to run out. And it is about Nijackie, as you were saying. Like, he is just in a zone against Marn for some reason. He's top farm in the game by 20 over Niantanso, right? He is only 100 gold behind Niantanso, and it's just a matter of, like, death cap Athene's Unholy Grail, 20 minutes, 30 seconds into the game is awesome. And look at him just poke down Heartbeat for almost no cost in his own.
And that's something to point out as well. And oh, whoop, the Asho going all the way across. It is going to connect with the fight here. Looks like it's going to be hitting Mega Zero. Gets him on the right side of the cheek there. Voyboy looks to aggress on this as well. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punch. Unstoppable force required. But they bring him back in as he tries to throw in the towel. They get the kill and the assist on everyone.
The 7th punch is the one that got him in when the death sentence landed from Elements. And that was a home run shot by Cop to get that fight started. It's what Curse is going to continue to try to do, and they could follow up on that one as well.
And I was going to say it's 30,000 to 28,000. Marn is still up in gold, but Curse has all these advantages that's causing the cookie to crumble in their favor right now. It looks like Marn is trying to do what they can, steal up the resources, take down the map pressure of Curse, and really push them back into their base. They know Curse has momentum right now.
It's really, really close, though, because Marn probably has the upper hand in team fights. They just need to be able to get them. They have the upper hand in turrets, and it's just a matter that a dragon isn't up right now, so Marn can't go and force it, because, like, Voyboy's chasing that wave. He hasn't been able to find many fights. Cop is essentially cowering in that lane for a while because he's on Ash, and he's so much weaker than Draven at this point. He's just firing off blind arrows, hoping, well, not blind arrows, but arrows to try to get things happening. And Curse is holding it together, as they actually tend to do amazingly well and frequently against a lot of these bottom 4 teams. It's just a matter of, has Marn progressed far enough, or is Curse going to be able to continue to do that?
So we'll see. Cop still looking to be that threat, like you're saying. Niantanso in the bottom lane waiting for Cop to look and farm, but he is not going to find anything. He's going to wait for this to just kind of time out, freeze it as much as possible. Unstoppable Force waiting on the side of Mega Zero. They do have Stand United if they want to activate something. They're waiting on a good amount of flashes, though. Actually, 3 flashes, Echo, Niantanso, and Heartbeat on the same timer, so they are going to wait for those.
And they would also get the Unstoppable Force if they got that one. And you can see, you know, Niantanso's actually really pushing up the bottom lane, but finally Cop has left that place because they realize there might be a threat near the Baron pretty soon if they're not careful. thinking Marn might want to try forcing something. I don't actually know how comfortable Marn is taking this game late, right? Because they think Riven is the mid-game champion, and they're going to be able to surpass that. But then you think of potential Orianna ults. Sometimes those can just wreck late game. And Cop, if he gets going a little bit too far, is going to be able to kill Shen when he dives through. Maybe they just think that Malphite is going to be 100% shut down on Cop no matter the stage in the game, which might be true if MegaZero can get enough farm. But it's a close enough game, and neither team is really making huge plays because they recognize what's at stake.
It's getting to that point. We see it's ultimate farm time. People are throwing out ults to make sure that turrets stay alive. You know, the engagements are going to be very slow, very meticulous right now. They're going to find their way in, and only the engagement they know they will win. So here at 24 minutes, Dragon, a minute and a half, so we'll see that up pretty much 25 minutes here. Like I said, those flashes now up for Marn. They still have a little bit to wait, so the cautious play coming in. The wards coming in on the side, the bottom side of Curse's jungle is going to help for that Dragon.
They're going to make sure they get control of this one. I mean, they over-pushed a little bit before the last one, and maybe, you know, maybe they're just going to end up picking a fight before it happens in this area because there is a lot of initiation potential, right, from both of these teams. MegaZero can fly in whenever he wants. There's an Ash arrow, hits Mega.
MegaZero gets hit. His unstoppable force is up. He used it to get out defensively. Last time, but the Shen ult comes in. They're going to wombo combo this one up. He goes to the back line. Nightjackie and Curse, or Cop rather, both forced to cleanse and back out of that tenacity. They are getting just locked up right now. And we see Voyboy going back into the fight, man-moding it 4v1 again in his favorite spot. They take down Echo. Voy is somehow still alive.
Wow.
Gets the shield in. The command shockwave to lock them up and save Voyboy. No, he goes down. It's actually Niantanso coming up big right now. A finalized kill coming in from MegaZero. They turn it around. Yeah, Nightjackie gets a shutdown, but he goes down.
That fight was crazy, Riv. I mean, the amount of help that Niantanso picked up a double kill with was almost invisible. He seemed dead that entire time as he was beasting down people with his spinning axes. I mean, the shockwave from Nightjackie I thought was going to end it, but it got flashed over by Claky D. I mean, they arrowed onto MegaZero to start that fight, and they just turned it around. It's like, are you sure you want to arrow the Malphite? Because I'm coming at you, right? And Claky D ulted in. That was such a good fight for Marn. 4 for 3, and I think they get the Dragon after this.
The trigger of seeing him ult Unstoppable Force out of the 3 in the top lane, I think gave them confidence for that fight. This time, they had Claky, and it spelled a different story. This Dragon could be theirs. The teleport coming in from Mega to keep it safe. And Voyboy has his, so we'll have to see. Voyboy is going to use his. They are going strong on this. They focus down Heartbeat. That crescendo is down. They know that with those ultimates down, they have a good chance to win this fight. The arrow misses. It's going to be Elements falling very hard right there to Echo. He could get himself out. There's a lot of chase. Echo is pulling 2 people off of the fight. They finally turn around and look for Claky D. A for-sure kill. They secure that one, and now turn around. They get the slow on to Mega. He knows he's not going anywhere. Echo needs to get out of here. They are going to get cleaned up right now. Niantansa goes down. Echo, get out of the fight. MegaZero is going to go down, and he just watches his team get obliterated back and forth. Curse now to take the Dragon.
Curse played that perfectly. Cop got to the fight so much faster than Niantanso that he was spamming there the whole time. And then when Niantanso did want to approach, Curse was absolutely ready for it. Nightjackie pounded them with that shockwave. They get the Dragon afterwards. They predicted that Marn was there. They countered the teleports just right. And then they had more people there the majority of the fight and picked their targets properly.
Wards coming up for Curse. They have just won that fight definitively, and they look to spread their vision across the map and not even give Marn a chance to really grab their own resources and get back in this. Echo doing what he can in an instant to push the top lane. Probably going to back off of this one because they have eyes on him right now.
And I just want to see more team fights because these things are absolutely awesome in this game. It's just like a Curse team that has so much utility with the Ashe and the Orianna picks, right? But they fight slow. Like, they need to be able to prolong the fight. Cobb needs to get multiple volleys off. Like, they have to get the right targets down. Whereas it's Marn who's just, like, diving in and brawling with Niantanso's Draven. And they're just on such a razor's edge. And since the gold is literally 300 apart from each other, the fights will continue to be like this. Both these teams are playing out of their minds right now, and I want to see more team fights.
And really, Curse played that one smart. A lot of the cooldowns matched up. You know, we have a few 180-second cooldowns. We have a lot of 90 to 100-second cooldowns. Curse played that knowing last fight, Unstoppable Force and Stand United were down, and Crescendo. It made such an impact, and they were really able to auto-attack and ability that one out without using ultimates.
It was just the smart engagement by Curse. This is the experience they have as a team. They communicate very well with each other. This is why they have so many comebacks. We need a stat on it about like comeback victories in the LCS, but I'm sure Curse probably has the most of them as they're making another one potentially now that they're up 600 gold and pressuring in a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get another arrow pick from Cop because that's what they're looking for. Mega Zero.
For someone to walk up here and even go to place a ward, you're going to catch an arrow in the face. This is a for sure kill, and it's scary to have this much control over the game. The for sure kill comes in right there. They have 60 seconds to wait for an arrow. They may choose to go in. The death sentence goes out just as good as an arrow. Stand United, everything forced to be used on just 2 people, and they all go down. The Stand United can't even finalize, and it looks like they're going to be able to grab a turret too.
And at this point, they know they have 5 people up. They know there's 30-second death timers. Do they want the turrets or do they want the Baron? They know the Stand United is down. They're going for the turrets.
This is going to be global gold for them. A Baron if they want. Forcing now Claky D to come back. He was made to stay in the bottom lane because Stand United was fizzled out by the quick kill. And Curse is going aggro on Baron.
So they also have an Oracles that just expired.
Yep.
No, never mind. Elements is behind. He's still got the Oracles. I just lost sight of it. So they're trying to rush this one down. I don't see how Marn can stop this. They got enough damage coming through. They got the bites. Marn trying to force back, but that just patience in the brush and knowing the Cop had spent so long surviving in this game just so he could land those arrows. He's got 10 assists in this game, right? Like his Ashe has been involved in a lot of fights despite having to hide pretty much the entire game, and it's working out for Curse at this point.
Yeah, playing Ashe allows Cop to stay in the way far back and play super safe. He has been really pivotal in activating these fights for his team. He's up to that Phantom Dancer already. The new Ashe the new Ashe buff that gives her that more attack speed per level is really just kind of synergizing with the Phantom Dancer. Affinity Edge build now getting max damage, plus, like we said before, Ashe passive. That's going to help. So the damage is coming from Cop now, and we can see that he really wasn't even one to do that much damage in the fight. It was the Arrow, Orianna, and then Saint. So their AD carry didn't even need to be effective there besides the ult.
Curse's overall damage isn't that insane, but their utility and their ability to prioritize targets is. So like in the fights where they go for Mega Zero, probably not a good idea. But if they get Heartbeat with an arrow like they did in that last one, the fight is over before it starts, and that's what they need to do more of, right? If they can get on Niantanso, if they can kill Heartbeat, if they can finish off Echo before he dives in, that's what they want to do, because if they're going for Mega Zero and Claky D, and they let Niantanso roll in the back with Draven, that's when they get into trouble. But now with the Baron buff on 5 people for Curse, Cop finally getting that gold, Nijaki really hitting his stride. He did die, sorry to say.
He did die.
Moment of silence for Nijaki, first death in 4 games. But Curse is looking good, and I'm expecting another arrow. Like, if that arrow lands, we know they're going to go.
He's almost on to the last Whisper. It's going to be 3 items completed over for Niantanso as he's having a very good game for himself. 6-4-4, always putting up consistent numbers for Marn, and really looking to be a impact factor for them as they look to turtle the base. Mega Zero's ultimate is up. Voyboy has just grabbed his teleport, so they can choose to split push, but they're probably going to use that 5-man strength of Baron here to just bully out Marn.
And I think it's just a matter of will Elements land a death sentence. He's actually landed a lot of them this game.
Yep.
Or will Cop get that arrow to start? Curse doesn't want to start anything stupid. They know that when they initiated on the Mega Zero, it didn't work out for them. And they know they've been behind most of the game up until now. So I expect them to play it smart.
Absolutely. And then coming into mind is like an MIA flash box thresh, right? That's probably not something they're going to do. We'll have to see, though. Elements, he is just teetering on the side of death right now. He says, hit me first. He plays that way with Tarek. He plays that way with Sona. He wants to be in the front. He wants you to blow all your cooldowns on him. It looks like they get good damage on the turret that time. The next wave is going to spell that turret going down.
Yeah, and St. Vicious's Volibear here does have flash. So if he wants to try to flash fling someone, he would have the opportunity to do that. Mega Zero just went back to base. He still hasn't been able to finish that Frozen Heart on Malphite. That would be very key if he could get it. They're going in probably for the final bit of damage on this turret.
All the summoners are up. All the ultimates are up except for Draven's. The Unstoppable Force and Shen combination on top of each other gives Curse a lot of time to move instantly. They're able to focus Mega Zero. St. Vicious goes to the back line and nobody can follow Mega up to the fight. Great control there by Curse on it. They lock down Echo as well. The auto attacks to take him down. Heartbeat is going to make it out as he gets hit. Frosted down, but it's going to be the inhibitor. Curse looks to take control of this base.
St. Vicious went so crazy on that fight, he really just drove everyone in Marn back, and that allowed Voyboy to just hop around and finish off the rest of them. We can't forget about how much damage Nijaki can do with his incredibly farmed Orianna as well, so they mission accomplished. They used the Baron buff. St. Vicious sacrificed himself to dive really deep, make sure Niantanso couldn't get onto the squishies, and it just let the rest of Curse go to work.
And even St. Vicious after that picking up a Randuin's Omen for these fights. Not after that, but he has. So it's going to be very big in the effectiveness of, like you said, diving to that back line. We saw that Nian Tanso could do barely nothing, had to cleanse all of those debuffs off. And it leaves Kopp again back to his farm lane. Probably finishing up that last Whisper soon. And they'll be looking to find Marn on a final stake or a Curse final push.
Yeah, and since Kopp has enough gold to finish off this last Whisper, it might spell the end for Marn's team fighting, because right now there is a huge amount of armor stack on Megazero and Claky D, really Kopp's two main targets in team fights, and 35% of that armor has just gone away.
Yep.
So since they haven't been able to zone out Kopp before the last Whisper, trying to do it after is almost too tall of a task.
Oracle's being picked up on elements. He also has the mobility boots. Like we said, we know he can be a playmaker, and he will look to get those in front of the crowd hooks to start it for his team and throw that box down. So we're looking for that from him. The arrow from Kopp as well. And like you said, the flash from Saint. It's up to Marn here. Again, their composition of diving has been put in the safety books for now.
Exactly, because Curse is the ones who have been starting the fights. They pick where they happen. That's one of the things you get when you run an Ashe team. We haven't seen Ashe in a while, but this is how you play it, essentially, right? Like, you have to survive that moment where Ashe can't do things to get the rewards, which is what Curse is benefiting from right now.
See Voyboy trying to put some pressure on the top lane here. Curse will start to push all the lanes. Their Baron is off. So they got to be careful of where their power and numbers is, because there is still an effective fight team for Marn to single someone out and take that down. Let's see what they can do. Elements looking to clear out some more wards. It really just looks like they are going to start pushing, like I said, every lane. Voyboy sitting at the top.
You got to keep in mind that, like, Nijacki's shield is shielding for 440 right now. Every time he throws it around, it's on a 7-second cooldown. Elements gets the AoE shield from W as well. That's 230 since he's collected 96 souls and has 73 extra ability power from it. So, like, the targets that Marn wants to go to can potentially get like 600 shield just thrown right on top of it.
See what kind of builds the AP carries are going for in mid here. Echo does choose the Zonias. Like we said, safe play for Marn. Nijacki throwing in the Abyssal Scepter, trying to help the rest of the team out. More damage from wherever it can come from here as they get into the fights. As we said, the bulwarks have been finished on both sides. You were mentioning the armor stat coming in for Marn. And not that that hurts them. Obviously, armor helps, but those aren't core items that have passive abilities that your entire team is getting, or you are yourself. So they're not able to finish core items that are necessary.
Yeah, and Marn actually, in their previous defeat to Vulcan, didn't get the ore items going either.
Right.
They really needed that Frozen Heart from Megazero, but he decided to go for a QSS instead. I think also because Nijacki was getting so much ability power and actually just killing him himself. At this point, it's about Marn trying to get in position to potentially fight Baron, because if they could somehow get into a fight where Curse doesn't have Baron and they don't get initiated on, they still could have a chance despite being 9,000 gold behind. It's just so difficult since they can get no ward control in this area because they're down an inhibitor, their side lanes are pushing, and because Curse is playing so smart.
First place Curse is showing why they stand in that spot. The less mistakes you make, the more times you get that W in the win record column. 36 minutes in, the second attempt for Baron here from Curse. The first one was uncontested. The second one looks to get a bit of love. That was quite close there. St. Vicious smiting it out, though, and getting the bite on to capitalize. Looks like they will start to push. They know what they're dealing with. They have the minion wave and the ward, and they're going to take this one slow and get everything to the base first.
Well, it was a nice try by Marn. They just didn't make it fast enough, right? You could tell Marn was being cautious running through the jungle right there because they thought Curse might just be sitting there invading, like they'd actually done previously when they got the first Baron. So they were a little slow in the approach. Curse mind-gamed them really well, went straight for it, bursted it down before they could get anything, and now this could just be round 2 of this turret push. Marn's going to be forced to initiate on them if they want to stop this, or they're just going to lose both their inhibitors.
And it's so big that Voyboy has this Guardian Angel now. Riven, such a slippery champion to get out and in, so that Guardian Angel is always only going to prove to be a waste of cooldowns for Marn in this fight. Really pushing their advantages. One more inhibitor comes in. They look to go around the horn. The last one in the bottom lane as the super minions continue to pressure.
And this is those bad situations to be in as a team because you don't know what to do. There's pressure coming from too many different angles. The other team has Baron. You've lost so many team fights in a row. The inhibitor has respawned. At this point, Marn can't defend it because they actually just went back to base. And oh no, they're going to have to hold the third one. And they have to fight. It's just so difficult for them because they can't find position before this one.
Going into the ult, we hear him in the background trying to call this out. Megazero gets himself in the stand united onto Malphite, making sure That could be used for the AD carry later. Taking a lot of damage. Echo goes in. The Zonias is out. Cop has taken a bit. The Baron is going to start regenerating the health on these guys, and it looks like the fight is going in their favor. Now down behind the inhibitor in the base of Marn. A double kill for St. Vicious. The Shockwave locking up Claky D. They finalize the kills. They finalize the base chat, and Curse stays in first.
Clean fight for Curse. Another come from behind victory. There's still one loss up from TSM, if that makes sense,
Right.
in the first place. And that was a good comeback for them. Well played.
A great game altogether. Marn showing very strong in the beginning. Really with what was happening in the lanes, back and forth. Everybody was kind of leaving, coming back to the lanes. But those Ashe arrows were always creating things for Curse. And Cop wasn't in the lanes. That really helped them out a lot.
And even though for Curse, a lot of their early ganks backfired on them a little bit,
Yep.
and they were getting punished, they got Neon Tonso a little bit farmed, they just persevered, right? It shows really good character from Curse to be able to consistently come back in games like this. Their team play is just so strong. And you know, maybe that has something to do with their manager of the North American All-Star team. Who knows?
Absolutely could be. If you boot camp that hard and you have the late game experience, being the veterans of a Season 2 and, you know, Season 1 friends, it helps. It really does coming in. And we've kind of poked at it as one of the things that plagues the younger teams, but they're adapting. They're getting those out, and we see these back and forth games between the top and what is considered, you know, some of the bottom 4 teams.
And one of the turning points in this game was a 3-for-1 fight in the middle of this game, so we're going to pull up the replay of this one. And in this fight exactly, you can see Marn is turtling down. There is Baron at this point, so Curse already has a big lead. And it's just a matter of watch how St. Vicious completely man modes through this fight. He goes straight through the crescendo, runs at Neon Tonso, completely zones him out. Sure, he's dead, but the rest of Curse got to just finish everybody off because everyone was distracted about St. Vicious. Curse already had an edge in this game, but that's really how they pulled it through.
It's weird to see, you know, Marn coming in with a face dive composition and not be able to use it. Or any team when they come out with that. You've been thwarted back and the team played so inside your mind that you can't do what you brought to the table.
Yeah, Orianna plus Ashe, a lot of kite, a lot of utility. The Thresh shields came out as well. The box had a huge amount of slows. Like, that was a utility stacked Curse team composition. And they managed to get the damage through over time by essentially shutting down Marn's damage.
All right, so Curse wins our third match of the day over Marn. When we come back, Curse's St. Vicious and Cop break down their big win, plus the NA LCS All-Star manager Liquid will join us to answer your Twitter questions. Don't go anywhere. There is tons more damage to come right after this.